The Waterbending scroll might be the most cohesive and well planned out episode in Avatar. There were multiple moving parts that intertwined in interesting ways. The hero's goal of learning waterbending was the root of all the branching ideas. The first element was jealousy. In this episode, Katara got character development. Her arc isn't best explained as a change in belief. It's more like a moral lesson learned after making a mistake, similar to an Aesop fable. The character makes a mistake, is punished for it, and then learns the lesson. Here, her mistake was being jealous and taking it out on others. She was jealous because Aang picked up waterbending moves faster than her. When they got the waterbending scroll, Katara tried to get a head start by practicing first while Aang held the scroll. Sokka even pointed it out just for extra clarity. Then when Aang did the water whip easily, she snapped at him. Sokka helped her realize she was being a jerk and apologized, promising to leave the scroll alone since it was fueling her jealousy. But at night, she swiped the scroll to practice in secret, which led to the allied enemies finding her. This was her being punished for her mistake and not learning the lesson. In the resolution, Katara apologized for her jealous and over-competitive behavior and got over the scroll. She learned the lesson. On its own, it was a decent arc that was easy for people of all ages to understand. Katara actually had a second lesson to learn in the episode: don't steal. When the group was too poor to afford the waterbending scroll, she just stole it. Sokka, once again, opposed her. Her justification was that the pirates stole it from the water tribe, so it was okay for her to steal it back. She was punished for this by having the pirates chase them and eventually work with Zuko's team to capture them. She was punished further when her night practice resulted in the whole team being captured. This was a neat fusion between the jealousy lesson and the stealing lesson. Because of her jealousy, she was using a stolen scroll to practice, which led to the owners of the scroll finding and capturing her. Beautiful. They only escaped due to Sokka's wit and their enemy's lack of honor. At the end of the episode, Sokka made sure that she learned the lesson about stealing before returning the scroll to her. She said stealing is wrong unless it's from pirates. I don't think the story was actually saying that it was okay to steal in some cases. I think this was just a witty reply from Katara, supported by the laughs of the gang, although I think the lesson would have been stronger if they didn't get the scroll back. The third element that made the writing elite was the way that they assembled the multiple parties. The pirates were already where they needed to be, but the gang and Zuko's crew needed to be drawn to them. Aang practiced their supplies down the lake, so they needed more. They fortunately found a waterbending scroll which could help with their goal. Iroh needed a lotus tile. We later learned the significance of this tile. Watch this. The gang met the pirates because they needed supplies, and then because she stole from them, enhanced by jealousy, the pirates became her antagonist. Then because the pirates were discussing the thieves while Iroh was looking for a tile, Zuko overheard them and they teamed up against the gang. The jealousy, the stealing, and the assembly were all connected. Zuko and the pirates made a deal where they'd work together if the pirates were given the scroll, but Zuko abused his power by almost burning the scroll to force them to also get Aang after they caught Katara. When captured, Sokka used his wit to convince the pirates that Aang was worth more than the scroll, making it a three-way battle. The story had great payoffs. I'll go through each of them. One of the moves Katara taught Aang was push and pull. During the final fight, the duo used this move to get the boat on the water and to stop the boat from falling off the waterfall. That's one. Another move Katara practiced was the water whip, but she couldn't get it right up until they were captured. On the boat, she finally used it successfully to defeat an opponent. That's two. Both of these payoffs were connected to the main goal of learning waterbending, which increased their power. Finally, when shopping, Aang bought a bison whistle that was seemingly useless. At the end of the episode, he used it again to call Appa, which saved them from the waterfall at the last minute. That's three. I have mixed feelings about this because Aang was rewarded for what was initially a mistake. He spent what little money they had on something they didn't need without consulting anyone. It just happened to be useful at the end, rewarding his immaturity. I'm not too fond of that, but the payoff was still cool. There were two other small details that were interesting. First, Zuko used Katara's lost necklace as a bargaining chip. He found it in a previous episode, so it was a partial payoff. Then, the pirate captain's fighting style was reminiscent of Sokka's future master, Pian Dao. In this episode, the goal of learning waterbending, the jealousy lesson, the stealing lesson, and the assembly of all the parties intertwined in clever ways to make the episode very cohesive. Sokka was basically the teacher here for the lessons. The three payoffs made the story even more planned out. This was a great episode and easily one of the best written for me.